Thank you for having me. I can't tell you how good it is to be in Africa right now. It's freezing in London, like the middle of winter, and I have the skin color to prove it. I mean, I've been in for about 30 hours and I managed to roast myself so badly. I had to wear the same top as I wore yesterday because my tan lines were so savage. It's actually quite alarming to look at. So thanks for having me. I'm going to talk a bit about how I've built in giving back into, alongside what I do. But first, I guess I'm going to talk a bit about myself. I guess I should explain who I am and what I do and why I'm here. So I run the Vanilli bakery in London, and I'm co-founder of the YBF Food and Drink Awards and also the fundraising initiative Bake for Syria. I'm a self-taught baker. I learned at home from books and YouTube. And I always think we're very lucky to live in a generation where you can take an interest in something and turn it into a skill on your own. And I think that's a good thing for lots of reasons. Partly because it's free, but also because from the minute you start to spark an interest in something, you can take your education in so many different ways. And in doing that, you create a style that's uniquely your own, so you end up doing something interesting from the start, I think. So I turned my hobby into a business in 2008. I was returning to the UK from Australia, where I've been for 2 years working as a graphic designer with very little except like a strong desire not to be a graphic designer. But luckily no one was trying to hire me to do that. In fact, no one was trying to hire me to do anything because it was the recession and there were no jobs. And that was a really terrifying prospect for me. I'd always worked, I didn't have family money to fall back on, had to make a living. So I started selling cakes really just to get by. I set up a Sunday pop-up market with some other girls in East London, and they would sell clothes and jewelry that they designed, and I would make cakes and brownies and sweet and savoury pastries and mix margaritas, and like literally no one came except for our other broke friends, and we would just like get drunk on the margaritas and eat the cakes. But it was going nowhere, but it was great. And at some point during this period, so still the end of 2008, I was on the Google Trends website, and I noticed that one of the most searched terms of 2008 was cupcake recipes. It's really hard to imagine now, I mean, at least for me, but it was just before the whole baking revival, before cupcakes, BC, before like Great British Bake Off, and baking was like my weird, nerdy hobby. I mean, I didn't know anybody else who bakes. It was like a granny thing, and I thought it was really cool to sit as a baker because it was so different. And so I was like, who the fuck is searching this stuff? And it's like, besides me, like, who's Googling this? So I had a friend who was interning at Sunday Times Star magazine, and I asked her to pitch a feature to the then food editor about how baking was going to be a thing. And she wrote the piece, and she was talking about big sort of US-based brands coming to the UK, like Hummingbird and Lotus Cupcakes. And she included me as an example of like, even young people are doing it now. Like, it's got to be a trend. And this was a while ago. So anyway, I forgot my own life story. So she gave me a call. I made up my name really Vanilli on the spot. I didn't have a website, so I just gave her my email address. And the article came out in February 2009. I remember I was at the pub and I was like, I didn't think that the anecdote was going to be any longer than just like a cool story to tell at the pub that day. And I got home eventually, and I'd been flooded with emails ordering cakes for Valentine's Day. And within 6 months, I was baking cakes for Elton John and Lady Gaga and Madonna, and I had a concession in Harrods and my first book deal, which was crazy. I was still making all of this magnificent stuff from my share house in Hackney with 5 other people who like hated me. Stayed up all night baking, sometimes 1,000 cakes a day when like my oven would do 24 at a time. And I was like taking this stuff to like Elton's house, like on the 26th bus. I was like still totally broke and had no business doing my business, but that's how it started. So I'm really grateful to still be doing what I do. I opened my bakery 7 years ago, which luckily has been busy since day one, still going well. I now have a wonderful team who help me make wedding and celebration cakes. Oh my god, I totally forgot about my slideshow. It's not much. So that's my cafe. It's the kind of wedding cakes we make. You can't really see anyway. That's a cute one. Anyway, that's that. So I have an afternoon tea concept in China, and I work with Louis Vuitton and Chanel there too. I opened a new bakery in Tbilisi in Georgia last year. I worked as a consultant on projects in Mexico, Italy, Abu Dhabi and Dubai and India, as well as with amazing chefs and brands in the UK. Last year I launched a Vanilli beer and a Vanilli Saperagu, just like a really natural Georgian wine. So I haven't grown in a very traditional pattern. I didn't want to become an administrator for my own dream. I wanted to find ways to grow which fit around my life rather than the other way around. You know, I didn't have any interest in like opening a chain of stores. I wanted to be creative and live a life that I enjoyed. So when I look back at the last 10 years, they're full of adventure and variety and a lot of different projects, many of which focus on giving back. So like most people in this industry, I work very hard for everything I've achieved. But I'm also aware and incredibly grateful that I get to do what I love every day, on my own terms, and travel and be creative. So I think it's important not to take myself too seriously and find time to help the industry that supported me. In 2010, I co-founded the YBF Awards to try and do that. So YBF stands for Young British Foodies, but you don't have to be young or British, and none of us can say the word foodies out loud without feeling really bad. So we just say YBFs. And the YBF celebrates innovation, creativity, and skill in the food and drink industry in the UK, especially putting a spotlight on new and small businesses. So myself and my co-founders felt at the time that the existing food and drink awards, while great, were always celebrating the same like top celebrity chefs and like TV chefs and people you've already heard of, and B, like don't really need your support, and maybe 1% of the population can afford to actually eat their food. And we're like, what's actually really interesting and important that's happening in the UK, which kind of revolutionized what had been like the most embarrassing cuisine for a few generations, and putting us back on the world map, was happening at grassroots level, and that's also where people really need the most support. So that's like the premise of the YBFs. So we put the feelers out to some of our contacts in the industry, like put together like a wish list of judges that we'd like to have on board, hoping that like a handful would say yes, but incredibly like everybody signed up, and it just seemed to really resonate with everyone. There was this huge sense of the importance of building a community of people in the industry with a network to support one another. Great chefs need great produce, and they want to meet great pastry chefs and butchers and writers and vice versa. So there are amazing things happening across the country, and we kind of understood that the person who's going to be the best at like smoking meat or a particular kind of farming is not necessarily going to be the best at like putting it on Twitter and creating a brand that's like catchy. So we wanted to kind of fill in that space a little bit and provide support to those like amazing people doing amazing work that actually need more attention. So there was this beautiful symbiosis that started to develop. People were meeting through the YBFs and collaborating and coexisting. And there was and still is an amazing spirit around it, with mutual respect between people in the industry, like newcomers and really established people, like everyone started working together. And I've seen so many of our alumni go on to be like the stars of food today, which is kind of what was always the dream. So we do a lot to support our winners beyond just the awards. We have infrastructure to help them find jobs. We do lots of kind of networking events, connect them with press. So we really aim to support people's businesses and help them grow. We're totally not for profit, although we work with brands to help us put on our party each year, which is amazing. And we find ways of making money which also support the YBFs that we're looking at. So myself and my two co-founders and all of our judges are on cake, but I guess what we have is a shared vision of helping the industry grow, which is good for everybody. So since we've hired staff to help with the week-to-week running on the YBFs, I've had more time to put into other projects like Bake for Syria, which was co-founded also by Serena Golan of Suitcase Magazine and London Instagram at Clark and Boy. And the objective is to raise money for children affected by the war in Syria, simply, through food and drink. So it started as a simple concept for a one-off supper club. Some of them as top chefs, we got together at a venue, and all of the proceeds went to UNICEF Syria Relief Fund. But it quickly grew into more events, dinners, pop-ups, street markets, 2 recipe books, the last of which I compiled and wrote. And it's now a global fundraising initiative, and we've raised over £700,000 since 2016. And one thing I really like about the project is it aims to do more than just raise money. It's all about celebrating Syrian people and food and cuisine, which is some of the best in the world, and like such a proud culture. Like, it's not a pity party. It's not about, it's like a positive approach to change, while obviously raising awareness and cash. And also bringing people together to share food and create joy, which I think at the end of the day, on some level, all of this has to be about. So the movement's spread throughout the food industry, with chefs in Australia, Hong Kong, Europe and the Middle East getting involved, as well as the general public who host events and write the book. And for the high-profile chefs involved, and again, almost everyone we reached out to was really keen to support us. The idea that they could use their influence and social media reach to create awareness for a cause they fought for was a no-brainer. It really resonated, and that really resonated with my experiences on the YBS. It's like, if you give people a platform to help other people, they're actually very interested in doing that. The easier you make it for people, the more support you get. Did I just turn that off? So the books are a combination. I'm going to just skip to the Bake for Syria section. Pastries you can't really see.
I can see on those screens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go there. This is my bakery in Tbilisi. I totally forgot about the slideshow. I have to remember what I said. Aha, Bake for Syria, okay. So, the books are a compilation of recipes from some of the world's top chefs and bakers, and everybody creates a Syrian-inspired dish and donates that. So we also included Syrian refugees in the UK and some of their recipes and stories, and all the money goes directly to UNICEF. In recipe book terms, the project was quite swiftly executed. I compiled, wrote, art directed, styled, and co-edited Bake for Syria in just under 3 weeks last year, working flat out most days. It's not nothing in terms of time cost, but it's definitely worth it, and not the craziest I've ever pushed myself. I think anyone who's set up a food business broke and solo will be able to tell you how many hours there are in a day and how much you can get done if you really want to. All those years of pulling 20-hour shifts have kind of shown me how I can make the most of my time. And with each project, I just made a call on the value of my time in a different way than I usually would. So where I would generally focus all my energies into growing my own business or like taking a holiday or whatever, I looked at my schedule and worked out where I could put aside time to do something that might actually make a difference. The support of all our amazing chefs like Nigel Slater, Dominique Ansar, including my these people over here like Jamie Oliver, Ottolenghi, countless others made the workload relatively easy. I had 2 photographers in the studio doing 40 shots a day over 2 days, and people just brought their dish in. And we kind of just got it done. The studio, the graphic design, all of that stuff was donated. We were given huge support from Amazon and bookstores who stocked the book and promoted it, as well as Clear Channel, who gave us some billboards. Slide up somewhere. Anyway, we got some free billboards. And everyone who contributed to the book also helped promote it, so I went straight to #1 on Amazon the day it was released. So anyway, it's been clear from working on projects that there's a strong instinct among chefs and other people in the industry to give back, and that really makes sense to me. We're working in food, and a lot of us, I think, have a fundamental instinct to feed people and to share. The food revival in the UK over the last 12 years has really felt like something like a revolution, like a tearing up of the rule-work, ripping down of the old traditions and installing of a new one. And a big part of that was a huge sense of mutual support and collaboration, as well as the feeling that if you want to do something, you can do it yourself. You don't need to wait for somebody to teach you or discover you. You don't have to be an apprentice in a kitchen anymore and like one day be a head chef. People were kind of just starting out on their own, making food they liked the way they wanted to, and in all of that, the new culture of food has evolved. And I think it's empowering, and that's had an impact on how we see social issues too. I can't speak for everyone, but from my own experience, countless bakers over the years have come to me asking for advice, setting up businesses essentially exactly like mine. And I always say yes. I mean, the feeling is that we all benefit from more good bakeries. It's not a competition. We all grow better together as the industry booms, and you just create more demand, and you raise the level of quality that's expected across the board. So I kind of think maybe social media feeds into that too. People working together and supporting one another is good for everyone overall. And the new reach that people have access to for free democratizes opportunities for growth a little bit. So in theory, the good stuff rises to the top more organically, and it's not about injecting loads of money into advertising campaigns to tell people you're the best. If you're doing something good, you generally sort of find it and talk about it. So that really levels the playing field. Yeah, that's like a harebrained theory that I really just throw in at the end, but that's the end.